So in the last video there was a little bit of an explosion at the end, and these are the bearings. I pulled it all back apart. I was just not happy with what was going on there, and picked up some new ones. These are not the new ones. These, and there, that thing, this one here, every once in a while it locks. It just locked up there. And again, these were just bearings that were in there, and I had cleaned them up, and I thought they were decent, but they weren't. Made in the USA. Ready to go. So the housing's in the easy bake oven, and we got about 5 minutes before it's ready, so we'll keep these bearings cold. They've been cold all day, so we'll just be able to drop them up in pretty easily, I think. I just got a little chunk of steel that's been around the shop forever, and so I can put the housing up down on there. It's a little bit hot, and then we'll drop the bearings in. It shouldn't take very long for that to tighten up. So that's cooled down. I mean, it's not cold yet, but it's cooled down enough that I can touch it. And those old bearings never did this. Wood just never did. So I can tell already we're in the right direction. Couple of folks had commented on the actual motor noise, and I think they may be right that there's a little bit of noise in the motor, but what I'll do now is I'm going to put it back together. The motors obviously can come off a little easier, and sort that out once I figure out if this helps quieten it down. So step one is the keeper on the back side here, which is the outside race. So the next thing was to put this gasket on, making sure the oil hole lines up with the hole in the gasket. And then I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to get this in the bottom. And I'm just using two hex bolts here. I think I did it again. I don't have the pulley in there. So let's try that again. I'm actually kind of glad that happened, because now I'm wondering what's going on here. It might just be that I don't have it centered here. Yeah, there's a lip inside the pulley here that runs up inside this groove here, so if it's not centered on the shaft, which it would be when it's normally installed. Okay, we're good. False alarm. You gotta come through the motor pulley hole, and then you gotta lift it up and slide it over. And then again, you got to make sure the oil hole lines up with the oil hole in the flange. And then I'm going to use these bolts to pick up this position. And we just pick up the housing. Get a couple of these in there. Back in business. So this guy here, you gotta line up. There's a key that has to line up with the slot in the pulley. It looks like I'm come through that. I gotta get it lined up with a bearing now. Sounds better. I'm just gonna, rather than banging that through that bearing, I'm gonna pull it through. So now I gotta tighten the castle nut here with my homemade wrench. No laughing. It works. Just 4 little pieces of keyway welded onto a, I don't even remember what this used to be. That's an Acme thread on there. Just a chunk of something. Screwdriver to bend the tab up. So it's all back together now. I've got a little bit of oil down in the gallery, which should make its way up to the bearings quickly. I'm going to start out, I've got it on the highest RPM for the pulley speed, and but I've got the VFD limited to 15 hertz right now, so it's only quarter speed. That sounds really promising. The spindle or the pulley housing is very quiet. There's still that noise in the motor. I'm going to bring it up to 30 hertz. And we'll go up to 45. Now we'll go up full speed at 60. So I think the spindle housing is a success now with the belt, and motor next.